luck, everyone.
Stations.
Much obliged.
Enemy force sighted on the horizon.
Защитите наземное сооружение.
Enemy cruiser sighted.
All stations requesting fire on the designated target. Denied. All stations reporting the position of a strategic target.
To do is cover some general statements about Mark, his background, and then get on with that I used. And great information came through this time. So to start out, he is obviously worked on the secret space program, really as it happens, and he was trained to protect his mother while his father was away. His father was a star in the military. Actually, Mark spent time in England as a boy, and he interacted with Churchill and other well-known individuals on a high level of the sort of, you might say, the British monarchy and the secret space program, as well as government.
Space program.
So, because of those experiences, he was constantly meeting people who were extremely well known. People like Arthur C. Clarke and Pat Price, the well-known psychic, and so on. And there are people that, because he was a boy, that he's even forgotten that he met as a boy. So at this point, what I want to say also is that he is a man who can definitely handle himself in any situation. He has a lot of residual sort of power. He holds himself in check. Obviously, he's got a strong support structure in the prison, as well as through his contacts, mainly those of which are the raptors, which are the raptors like velociraptors. I guess they look something like the Steven Spielberg velociraptors that you saw in Jurassic Park, although my understanding is they're very large. They're 8 feet tall, but they actually are crouched over, so they appear to be about 4 feet tall. They have tails, and they look something like dragons as well, the traditional understanding of a dragon. They consider both races of reptilians who they say want to take over this planet as their enemy. And because of that, they want to bond and work alongside with humans. And so that is what has forged a sort of bond over time with our race, even though in the early days they wanted to eat us. And one of the anecdotes that Mark tells is that when it was but that hey, there had to be armed guards. Although he does believe he has had, and he says this he was basically when he was a very young child by the chose him. He also is
Ship is on fire!
that group go through all the different races. So I've provided a list of questions. As I said, to sort of and I also all of what was said. So to begin, one of the things that I did was also ask him specific questions that had to do with past whistleblower testimony that Camelot has
All
gotten.
stations,
Also
concentrate
questions,
fire on the target.
based on contactee information or information from authors that and other sources that we've gotten, just to test his information flow, to see what his understanding of those particular things are. And I got in some
Gun crews are on full alert.
and in some cases and in some cases he said, he didn't seem to know a lot about whatever it was. And in a 4-hour interview where I'm covering questions in a prison situation where there are many people around, people with all kinds of weapons visiting them, and it is a very complicated situation.
Anti-aircraft gun crews are on normal
Why I
alert.
need him in prison, because a lot of people wrote to me and mentioned, well, why don't you just write to him? And I want to say that I'm the only journalist that appears to have contacted him and done interviews. And I'm not sure what it is. Situation, to say the least. One thing is that Joanne, in the early days, did some interviewing with him, and she had reports also that he writes while in prison and sends to her. And then she also compiles some of her own information that she's gotten from him into those reports. So are available on the website, and I will make that. Obviously, they need something. So purchasing the reports can be very helpful, I imagine. I haven't read all of them. Let's see. The other thing is yes, and then explains in detail, or he says no, and then he also, if he doesn't know something, he doesn't. Some cases he would say, research something. There was only one question in particular, and that particular question, I had gotten it downloaded, so I'm sure
Torpedoes,
whether or
dead
not he
ahead.
was currently going on missions, and the answer, almost every other question I asked him, that particular one, he did give me just so I understand. In other words, out of body. We did talk about Carva or solar system, though she's in touch with other entities out there. So that's a fascinating study, and it's talked about to some degree in reports that Joanne puts out. I did talk about questions. So you understand a lot of things. You understand why disclosure is so important.
Отлично сыграно, командир.
Now, I have to say that the other side of that is that he has made an executive decision, possibly in part based on the 30 years of imprisonment that he's had to undergo, so that he feels that this is information that needs to get out to the public. He feels he is not violating his security oath. He is being very careful in what he puts out there. A lot of what he's putting out there through the question and answer sessions we do, he says, is information that has been out there for a while, or if not out there, is rather dated. That sort of begs the question that what exactly is he revealing that is timely? And you're going to have to judge that for yourself. I have to say that the information he's going to give me and that you're going to hear is pretty interesting information, and it is not out there in other forms for the most part. So he's quite unique as a whistleblower, and has a very sort of steady, I guess you might say, approach to the subject matter as well. He's not he doesn't crack a lot of jokes. I think he has a sense of humor, but his life is not full of humor necessarily, unless you see the absurdity in life, and I think he does. First of all, there are around 1,200 and 1,500 inmates. One of those inmates is a person who is basically, I think, to some degree, a political football, which all the inmates are. In this case, that is a person who actually committed the crime. At least one of the people who was caught and sentenced is serving time in Vacaville for the murder, the same murder that Mark is supposed to have committed. In his case, this other man's case, he was basically sentenced, and then he got another lawyer who is well paid and he got his sentencing overturned, and then applied for, I guess, parole or release, and they won't release him. So that's interesting in and of itself. It's not clear what is going on there, but it certainly tells you that there's something more than meets the eye in this case. As I've said, Raptors are going to factor in a lot in this discussion. They apparently do have factions within the Raptors who have played both sides throughout history. There is an empress who's now in charge of the Raptors, who has looked down the timeline, and she has seen that the timeline in which the Raptors align themselves with humans is the most successful timeline for their race. So this is why they have, at this time, made such a strong sort of agreement to work side by side with humans. The other one is that they find humans useful in combating the reptilian influence and control of Earth. They do consider...
Show them what we've got, chaps.
Now, there are another group of creatures that Mark will be talking about, and it's called the Trogs. And the Trogs are 7 to 9 foot tall. They are ant-like creatures who are also a combination of praying mantis, and very well known, I think, out in the sector. They are service to self, from what I hear, from what he says. Sort of negatively oriented beings who work with the reptilian races. There is a very interesting syndrome that seems to go on that hasn't been talked about, that there are several races who are not our friends who
Enemy destroyer blown up.
Location because they're hiding it from these races. Try to steal it back. Apparently humans are useful in many ways. They can be used for. The most obvious is as the reptilians and greys. This is a well-known phenomena, and that humans are being used even on surface Earth in underground bases, etc. In other words, fed to these beings or given to these beings for these uses. That's where Dulcie comes from, and so on. And Mark did lead as part of my other interview, and I do want to say that with Mark Richards, that was last November of 2013. About in this interview. They can be used as allies. And there are other races as well who find this valuable in part because of
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
They do use humans as slaves. Certain various races, building things, and so on. There may be something to do with what we know of trafficking. Some of these people may in fact races out there. And they may come to Earth as what are called colored diamonds. Mining in Africa of these stones. They're not so and so I guess our government is going to and do a lot of money. Obviously, they are interested in bases, having bases here. This is and so on. There is also the last most obvious ones that we are used as for breeding programs. Together this list out of all the length of the interview and both the prior and the current ones that I've done with him to sort of give a clear overview of what it leads to or what it means. Black star or dark star energy. Last time I interviewed Mark, he talked about dark star or black star energy, and that is from a neutron star, recently exploded neutron star. It's one of the places it comes from. I think the major place it comes from. And in order to get it, we need the help of these various races who have already accessed this energy. Apparently this energy is not the same as zero-point energy, and what it does is put us in a whole different category with the interstellar races. It allows us to travel much further, and it seems to be quite extensive in what it allows us to do, the reach in the multiverse in terms of our travel through the multiverse. And the jumping, it's used large distances, going through or past, for example, the galactic center. From what I understand, the other races are not really having. However, there are races in exchange for example, humans. So obviously you might call that decided to, on the dark side, exchange humans in exchange. So
We sank an enemy destroyer.
And Mark says we are still having issues with going to get it and also navigating in order to get it. And so we use the help of these friendly races to do so, to navigate. He said one of the problems with navigating is that in order to gather the energy from a dark star, you need to jump back in time to when the neutron star exploded, not exactly when, but sometime after that, to where it's dispersed to a certain degree, to where you can jump and not be burned by the star and not be basically demolished or brought into a gravitational pull by a star or a sun by jumping too close and not knowing where you're going to land. So we've been using friendly ET races to help us out in that manner. The other thing is that most of our science does not understand
Torpedoes direct front.
even to this extent, and the fact that it could be made, for example, at CERN, but we would only be able to make a very small quantity, and it would be extremely expensive. So the way we snag it, as he called it, is with the help of the other ET races, going back in time, and basically snagging it through a gate. The other is to trade it by using the large number of humans, and the last is to barter, as we did with what are called the Canonians, the dog-like race of beings who are called a merchant race of the galaxy, or galaxies. And what they wanted from us was I guess a way station on the way. And so they traded dark energy in exchange. One of the things about their physicality is, I understand. So they're standing on there.
Stations requesting final support.
And various factions out there. They are aligned in some cases with more than one race. The Raptors seem to be aligned with
Space
the Air
Raptors.
Force and to some degree the Navy. Again, he was also apparently trained in both the Army and spent time. So I have the feeling that our military is not so much the different sort of types, but whether those divisions are indeed made up of what we would call white hats. Take over the planet with black hats, which are so there are military some interview with Mark. It seemed clear that they are, but in terms of their allegiance. Psychic abilities. Mark has amazing psychic abilities. He's a very well-known psychic. He was considered to be, Pat Price was the CIA equivalent of what Mark did in the Air Force. Pat Price was getting ready to come forward in 1995 and 96 when he was murdered. And Mark did remote view him and said he has indeed died or passed on. At the age of 16, he was tested for psychic abnormalities. He was found to not have the normal limitations of most children. They received the fact that he had a father who was very his program, about what he knows, as well as so this definitely widened his horizon, so to speak. And it was very valuable to him once he started to become more activated in terms of his psychic abilities. I would also say perhaps his mother was instrumental in this way, that she was extremely open-minded and allowed him to explore a great deal in many ways. I did ask him questions that I was asked, or that I asked, in order to get his take on various things that have been out there in the sort of alternative sector for a long time, so that I could find out what he thought about those various things. One of those is the so-called kill shot from the sun. And this is something that he said he believes is not going to happen, that it is a government program to put that information out there. For the most part, his point of view of the Earth and our timeline, or Mobius as he calls it, seems to be that we have a very answer to that was interesting. He said that,
sit at our table. What's forbidden is if it's going to bring
sort of a vampire might refrain. In other words, they still have the attempts, or at least no obvious attempts at obfuscation. And I'm going to just reel out the information I was given, which in some cases is kind of mind-blowing and yet a validation of most of what I've been given for what I know the 8 years in Camelot. I could say that this is a person who from his own experience, very direct experience, his father was a high-ranking Air Force person, and also both of them in the secret space program. And the kinds of questions I asked him had to do with verification on who's running the planet, what the various races are that are visiting here and that are interacting with humans and aligning themselves with various countries, governments, and military factions. And so I was really asking him very high-level, sophisticated kinds of questions.
And the moment of opportunity, we've received the green light. So, fire! If this place unlaunches, so we'd obviously I would
Problem
have,
solved, sir.
and for this kind of operation, I'll probably bring it. Have some about it this way. Have a front entrance. When you were asleep, we would shoot.
We've spotted a leak. We're filling it.
Easy. There's reasons for that. We wanted to make the abduction. And then carry you out, lock everything up.
What about the neighbors and dogs and things like that?
Because we can get in and get out without them noticing. Complete in and out without any sound. You know, even being able to, you know, you're talking about even picking a lock at night. Dogs will even sleep through that. You can be that quiet.
Okay. So you were going on these operations that you were calling My Labs, military abductions, and you said you're working with ETs. Which
Grays.
ETs? Grays?
Grace.
Okay, and do you recall this, or
No,
is
I
this...
do recall some of this. These are things that I had a little bit difficulty coming to terms with, or even accepting, no more than a couple years ago. And again, and a lot of these memories were reconfirmed when I was called back to duty in 2008, when I still didn't know who I was, and all of a sudden I've got these military personnel who are taking me to Camp Pendleton. We're meeting with this general, and he literally opens up what he had of a dossier of me, and they're showing operations, they're showing images, they're showing things that I was a part of. They showed me that on my NSA file it says Petty Officer 2nd Class Aaron E. McCollum, serial number 13-03957, killed in action 1999. So according to whoever doesn't need to know about me, I'm technically died in action at some point in 1999.
But you're still running around town with this name and so on and so forth. Okay, I mean, because I also want to address why you've been allowed to get away with what you're doing.
I haven't entirely been allowed to get away with what I've been doing. I have received threats. Certain family members have received threats, and I myself have had attempts on my life as recently as, that had to have been 5 months ago when I was hit by a car at not full speed obviously, but the witnesses said that the car was going 35, 40 miles an hour and hit me dead on. And
Were you in a car at the time it hit you?
No, I was walking. It hit me straight on. I was going across a crosswalk where the light was go for me, and the car peeled around the corner and then came up, and it just happened so fast, and I flew over the car, hit the ground. I blacked out. I woke up in the ER, and with many times before, the doctor sat there and said, I have no idea how you don't have any broken bones. You don't have any stitches. I didn't even have really any bruises. Pretty much walked away from it. They took me because they didn't know who I was, and it was, standard procedure, obviously. Ambulance shows up, they neck brace. I do remember telling them, no, I'm fine. They're like, no, please. I'm just, okay. I'll let you guys go along with this.
Did you question at any point what you were doing?
Action stations.
You don't question. You never question. You just do. You just act. You see, people like Duncan, myself, and even another former teammate, I'll refer to her as that. You're raised and you're conditioned to even electroshock therapy of splitting the alters where now of course if you do an operation in an alter, which I did many that obviously I don't remember, but I know because of missing time, you're robotic. But even in the person that you see now that actively did black operations, you don't question, you don't feel anything. You're not allowed to. And if you do, well, you better not show up because then you're going to get reprogrammed. I've been able to get in contact, well, I was in contact with a number of people that and after contact was made, suddenly, trying to get information out of them because they maybe remember a little bit more of me, and then the next thing contact me, please stop contacting me. So, I have been
Problem solved, sir.
When I was living in Phoenix, everything about me. Started to say or something more further. And he disagreed with what took place with me. And he was that I did now. He came in. I don't know who he was. Without him, I don't know what I would.
Let's fast forward now because we've talked about
Fighter airborne.
the military inductions that you're going on, and that was during what years?
It actually happened off and on from 1999 to 2005. That was one of my many
I understand. And then we did work with Project Seagate.
Yes.
So now we need to kind of go in
Okay.
that direction.
Okay, let me just give a little bit of history of Project Seagate first. And that'll help people understand. About 30 years ago, the Navy and the National Oceanographic Administration did a lot of research on water. They were doing some survey in the area of some underwater survey. Why they were doing that, I don't have the details, but I know that they were. And they had ground penetrating radar that they were using. They found something. They found something big underneath the seabed off the west coast of Puerto Rico.
Enemy cruiser
So,
sighted.
excavation commenced, and they found what was abandoned, very large abandoned
Main
facility.
turret ship is on fire.
Not of human technology. Now, at this time, of course, the United States government already had a treaty with certain extraterrestrial beings, with the Greys, with the reptilians,
Problem
and
solved,
even a few
sir.
other interests. So, working with them,
The ship is on
they
fire.
were able to uncover and reverse. They had to reverse engineer of it because even today, they're still not sure who or what built this.
So it wasn't the Great.
No, absolutely not. No, this was not great technology. But they were able to figure out through trial and error and a lot of reverse
Okay, and
engineering.
you know this information how?
I know this information from two people that I worked with prior to and one person that was an operator. An operator by means, this was a person who actually was a scientist, more of an engineer, that was on facility.
Meaning worked at this facility
Worked at the
once it
base.
was activated. This
Yes.
underwater base.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And the underwater base, is that what you call Project Seagate, or that's called?
Well,
Is there another
Project
name?
Seagate was the name of the project, the operations that were ran there. Think of it like, okay, you know you've got MK Ultra, Mark Ultra, that has many, many sub-projects. Project Seagate itself had several sub-projects.
So this was a sub-project.
The base, this was a sub-project that had sub-projects itself. This is what makes it so complicated because a project is designed like Montauk. And then they distill all these other things that they usually branch off. This is something they do purposely because it's hard to track. The base itself was actually called PROSEA. PROSEA. That's just what that's what they called it. I know that there was another name. There was like a serial number code for the base, but I don't remember what that was.
Okay, and this was under the water.
It wasn't. Okay, there are now.
The enemy is about to win.
They have parts of it that are on the seabed floor, but most of the facility is actually underneath the seabed. So it's an underwater / underground facility.
Okay. Now, when you say it was called PROSEA, where did you get that information? Did you remember it?
It was what I was shown as part of the dossier I was shown back in 2008. I was being recalled, so they figured, you got to recall a guy. I'm sitting there really freaking out. We're going to show this guy who he really is.
Did you have no memory when you were freaking out at that point, or did you have some?
I had what I only thought were hysterical hallucinations. I really thought this is why, which I haven't talked about this much, but you know, I made an attempt to kill myself in 2006 because I just had it. I'd had it with not sleeping, with waking up, with these night terrors, screaming, sweats, flashbacks, coming in and out of consciousness, waking up in one city, you know, showing up in a different city. It was chaos. My life was
Okay.
chaos.
How many altars do you think you have, or do you know?
I'll tell you what I've been told, and I'll tell you what it's been actually factually logged. I have says several more whistleblowers that others have done, other people that I have had 12 separate witnessed. And I have 46 separate altars. I have substantial evidence on 12.
Enemy
You're going
battleship
into this
detected.
base. What's happening at the base, and how are you doing that?
Okay. Here's a little interesting. The base had some projects, which was part of what is known as the Mega program. Mega program was souls being so I'm trying to person in there. That's useful.
This is that was documented on the Heather material.
Yes. Connected with them, and you can say I'm connected with Heather via them.
Okay.
That's what because Heather no idea about it.
And we're going to talk about that at some point. At this point, let's answer this question so far as to what's going on there in the project.
Okay, so the Omega is again a classification for genetically engineered beings. The one that Dr. Deagle was on was with the Human Jackal program. Okay, and that was basically a super soldier program where they were combining human and jackal DNA, which jackal pound for pound are one of the strongest animals. Project Seagate adopted an aquatic side of it, where they were combining human and dolphin DNA to create, you could say, an aquatic type super soldier who had the abilities of telepathy, echolocation, being able to hold the breath for an extremely long time underwater, being even better at adapting to cold. Dolphins themselves can actually change their body heat depending on if they go up to the Arctic or if they're down in the equator.
Okay, so
So that was
are
one
we
of the
talking
projects.
about, you're saying genetically engineered, are they using human and dolphins, but are they ending up to look more like which?
There was a wide range. Initially, the project, as in with a lot of genetic manipulation, they had a lot of failures where, you get things like the thing that I really, it disgusts me how they label it, the pictures of the Panamanian monster, which is not a monster. I think I showed you those pictures, and those pictures, if not, I'll get them to you, are of what you could say more of not a desired creation due to the project. Occasionally, underwater field exercises would happen and one would get away. This is when they expanded to where all exercises were done at a huge sea pool, is what they call it, that's actually in the bay, so that they weren't actually out in the open. They were more in an enclosure.
But are they looking human?
Well, they do two models. They do a model that looks closer to dolphin,
right?
And they have a model that's closer, much more closer to human. Yeah.
Okay, and what was your involvement?
My involvement with that was several reasons. One, I worked with the actual full-blooded dolphins because part of the program was I was selected in a very small group of people, part of the Super Soldier program, to learn certain traits that dolphins could do. One of them, which I think I talked about in the first interview, was echolocation synchronicity. What does that mean? That means that basically it means that the dolphins, which were more or less the instructors, were teaching humans how to do echolocation. This is not fantasy. This is something that really happens. In fact, it can happen in normal state. There's a 5-year-old blind boy who just made it on the news a couple weeks ago, who his mother was taking him out with dolphins, and the dolphins taught him how to echolocate. Now this boy doesn't need a cane. He walks around and he does echolocation all the time.
Okay, but echolocation is what? Is
Echolocation is, you could say, biological radar. They put out a frequency, it bounces off an object, it comes back, and therefore they can measure how big it is and how far away it is. It's what sonar is.
Okay. All right, so you're saying you worked with dolphins to do what?
To learn how to do echolocation, and as well, I also was one of the... All right, let's get into the real bread and butter of Project Seagate then. Now, there was an alien side of things that were done. We can talk about that later. There was the Super Soldier aquatic program with the dolphin-human hybrids. But then there was the real thing. The real aim of Project Seagate was that there's a portal.
Okay.
It is a portal that can be used. It was such a unique portal that I'm told it's the only one on the planet. At least it's the only active one on the planet, as far as I know, because I don't recall being to any other ones. This portal can be used for interdimensional travel,
Engine boost
off-planet
activated.
travel, and under the right conditions, when it's set up right, can be used for time travel.
Okay, okay.
Now, you're asking, I know, and I'm getting that, sorry. What was my role? The team that I was with, which was called the Sentinels, which was a team of very highly trained people that had abilities to adjust to water in certain ways, because the portal is actually underwater. Now, these sea gates that are located in other places also are underwater. What they had to do initially, about 20 years ago, they had sent some people through, but they weren't returning. And they had everything set up right. To talk about I have a schematic, but to talk about the science behind it, I don't really know. I know that, there was a certain room that was called the dome room, which was the room for creating the coordinates. They had these remote viewers that had another room. They sent drones through the portal, and the drones had, taken pictures and discovered that the people on their side had died, sometimes violently. We're not the only planet that has water, but water So, let's get to the point. Myself, Axe, were used
Enemy battleship sighted.
jump this high-tide missions. Yes, going part of this facility was also exploration with the naval and even
Space Command.
Space Command, which there's a lot of people involved in Space Command. I heard it was like 600,000 humans working in Space Command. Are majestic and cosmic. I heard that actually was in some of the I can't remember the name of the person. It would come to me maybe even after the interview. I mentioned this sometime in the year.
We've destroyed an enemy cruiser.
I know it was related through that means, but that's a year old information.
Okay, so you were used to time travel and go on operations where?
All over the place. And this is why, okay. One of the reasons why we, Duncan, Opinion, and Axe and I wanted to have a full interview was so that there was some better cooperation, because it's just me talking, it's better if you have other people. There were operations that had been done in Cambodia back in the late 60s that I have memory of being a part of, that Duncan has memories of being a part of, and that Axe has memories of being a part of, and that even Dave Corso has memories of being a part of.
Right, but technically you weren't born then.
Oh no, I wasn't. I was born in '78, according to what I was told and the records I have.
Okay.
Do I have memories of being off-world? Yes. Do I remember exactly where they were? No.
Engine
Am I
boost
working on to
activated.
find that out? Yes. But it takes time. I'm actually working on what's detox, something that developed specifically for me, which has been my abilities, my special abilities, obviously, watching me put my hand in the hot water. But it was definitely like a in way. That's electricity shot in my hand.
Sum it up. What
Enemy
is
destroyer foundered.
Okay, three main things. One, the Dolphin human hybrid program. Make no mistake, they're going to be. And there are no ones that look like They also, with the Project portal, some of these hybrids have souls. So they're used through these remote viewers, the 10 remote viewers that sit in what's called the row of chairs, where they can use them for expendable missions. The consciousness of that human.
Enemy cruiser
about
destroyed.
this in the last interview? In other words, but
I really don't like to compare movies to reality, but that Avatar movie
yeah,
is
absolutely.
not out of this world technology.
Yeah.
That is happening right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's not just Project Seagate. There are other sub-projects that are using the same technology, just for different purposes. The base is also, there's a section of Pro-C that is ran and operated by Greys and Reptilian, and not just them, but a few other races as well that have, you could say, decided to jump on the team. They are doing a lot of different projects because Project Seagate is also connected to, there is an underground maglev that goes to Autek, which is at Bimini Island. There is also two small satellite entrances. They call them satellite entrances. They're small, like hubs. One that's located in St. Croix off of what's called Rainbow Beach. And another one,
that
Water
doesn't
Island
really
in St.
surprise me. I
Thomas.
don't even know why I'm asking
That
anymore.
actually relates to part
Is that
of
one
what...
day?
10 years later.
Your friends will be.
Bases in the Caribbean. Exclusive extra.
What was that?
The thing I hate about the game is the exceptional
Action stations.
loading time.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It looks like a game like
Okay,
fucking
what about the
Fallout
one
4 is loading nearly
Yes, I
instant
know.
for me. And then come into this game and it takes fucking 5 minutes to fucking loading games.
I recently found out from
Bullshit.
my sister that
You know what
she
I'm
and my
doing?
brother,
Waiting.
when they were, I think in junior high,
Play some
so
Fallout
it was like
Zelda.
12, 13, they both were shipped off at separate times to Houston for space camp.
Viel Glück allen.
But they don't really remember space camp. When I got to that age,
Alle Stationen.
I was
Schwitzt
shipped
das
off to
Ziel.
Catalina Island for some kind of marine biology scuba camp thing. That was like the equivalent of space camp, but for that. I remember going to Catalina, but I don't remember what took place there or leaving.
Okay.
But I do know that there is, because a lot of USO underwater or unidentified submersible objects are seen off the Catalina. But here's another thing that people may not be aware of that see this. Puerto Rico is one of the major hotspots for UFO and USO sightings in the world. 95% of these sightings that get reported never make it to the media. Because Puerto Rico, off of Puerto Rico, and that whole area in the Caribbean, you're talking 12 underwater
God, my 60
underground
residents
facilities.
No schneller als wir es
Two are ran by the United States, Autek and Pro-C.
So now I can build
Okay.
a
And
nuclear.
the other ones are run by
Okay.
off-world
Various
or
off-world
ETs.
beings. Not all. They're not all gray and reptilian. There's various ones. Several
What's-
are benevolent.
Okay, well, what is, describe one.
Well, one is the Syrians.
Okay, what do they look like?
The Syrians are kind of bluish, very kind of like. But then there's other ones that have more of a. It's like a bluish, tannish color. They range from. They do have a wide range of hair, but they're not like you see these pictures where it's on the internet where every race is tall blondes. Oh, here's a picture of John, oh, he's tall blonde. Oh, he's playing as tall blonde. That's not the case at all.
Fighter airborne.
One of the other groups is a group that's not well known, that's Lyman. And then the other ones range from.
And I have
there's
close
that's
to one of the
Grays.
towns close to
Okay,
my
There's another one that's actually
my central
artillery.
town, completely
Okay,
in
but are
fucking
they
train
humanoid?
tracks now.
The ones you've seen?
The ones I've seen are humanoid, as in bipedal humanoid, yes. But Arcturians aren't exactly humanoid,
Enemy cruiser sighted.
because they stay on, they prefer to stay in kind of fifth density, but they can move up densities. And
Okay, were exposed, I'm assuming, to these beings as well.
On various
Lighter
occasions,
destroyed.
yes.
Okay.
But it doesn't mean that I like always worked with them, but you would see them. Specifically, they had their own section that was, people talk about majestic clearance and cosmic clearance. PTs don't care about ultra, they want about majestic clearance. So they were working on a whole different scope of things that I only got to see part of it on a few times. And a lot of it was working with, a lot of it was with the ocean and with doing genetic modifications of certain sea life.
Okay, but I guess I'm not clear on what you actually did.
Okay, yeah, I know, because we got kind of off track. Let me just put it this way. My team, when things went wrong, and it was on the level of cosmic or majestic clearance, on the cosmic clearance level, we're talking, space fleet level. Whether it was someone needed to be terminated, more of a diplomatic issue had come around, someone needed to be taken, or a wide range of things that really fall under the black ops scope. My team was called to do that.
Okay, but in the sea base you're talking about?
Yeah, in the sea base.
Okay, going on operations in this world?
Not just this world. All over. Again, I know this sounds really weird and it's really hard to, it's really hard for me to still explain. I'm able to explain better now than if I had during the first interview because of things I've been working on. But
kind of.
Think of it like when Project Pegasus was, first
from the town center into
activated,
the train
and
station.
people were used. People were found and
bit
used
too much.
strictly that had the makeup to be able to travel from here to Mars.
Let's see.
Now, that was done for a lot of reasons, for colonizing, for gathering samples, for just experimentation.
Okay.
But projects like that were also used for more of game, more
It's gonna be so fucking heavy when I don't have to use horses anymore.
Horses?
That's
Sometimes,
so fucking slow.
on certain colonies,
The
a
horse.
situation would happen and it needed to be taken care of, and they needed properly trained people
Battle
to
starts.
take care of that situation.
Good luck and
Terminate
fair
that
seas.
person. One memory I have, I don't know where it was at, but there was a group of 5 scientists. It was 5 scientists that decided to be non-compliant. And the order was to terminate them, and they are off-world. My team was sent to do so.
Okay, when you say off-world, where off-world?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I really don't. Listen, I get fragments of memories. Maybe in time things will come. This was another reason why I'm working closely with Axe on a lot of this, because Axe has memories of things that she was a part of that I wasn't necessarily part of. But we have right now compiled, which I have put away on a safe hard drive, probably about 1,000, at least 1,000 different correspondence, documents, and other things, pictures, that at some point I would like to get together, which will paint a better picture of what Project Seagate, what we actually did is all
Were
about.
you leaving your body at all?
No. Okay, I should say, this wasn't part of the Omega project that used soulless beings. I physically went.
Okay.
And this wasn't like, I believe Andrew Psaggio says in Project Pegasus that they actually couldn't wear metal. In this case, we could wear all of our gear. We would go in this type of submersion suit under the water so that when we came out of the next level,
Many thanks.
take off that submersion suit and be in our dry gear so that we could carry on with whatever task we had to do.
Okay, did you go to Inner Earth at all?
I don't ever recall going there. But I did do an operation
airborne.
in Panama where we were guarding an entrance. There actually is an entrance in Panama to. That was a side operation because
That's rather weird that I haven't come up
Project
with any
Seagate, Pro C
DLCs for
itself,
the game.
was my base
Well,
of
that's good.
operations for quite a long time. Even Axe, and at some point it would be good
okay.
for you to talk to Axe,
Why?
because Axe has absolute memory of me being at this facility when I was a child. I don't remember that. She claims,
True,
and I
but-
believe her because I worked with hacks for many years.
So that means no
Wasn't
more
she like your runner? Didn't she? Was she like?
actually
like
anything.
Yes, her
So,
call
yeah.
sign, which I do remember, was Sky Watcher. She was a remote viewer. She had the ability to go out of body. She didn't always travel with me. When I would do a jump, she would sit in what was called the chair, which I don't remember if I showed you a schematic of the chair, where you had a very powerful remote viewer who could do OBE out of body experience. And she would basically, she was like my astral reconnaissance. She was my watchful eyes. So that things could be very highly advanced.
The ship is on fire.
Record of what transpired. Because I didn't always go in a team. Sometimes I go on solo missions.
these memories that are coming back to you, did they come back to you because some kind of psychological breakdown at a certain point?
Oh, yeah.
At what year? Do you know?
When the memories were really coming and they were so vivid that I actually felt like that was it reoccurring, that really started probably about the
Problem solved, sir.
At what point were you let go?
The ship is on fire.
I mean, I know you're technically actually still on call, and
I'm
they can call
technically
you
still on
back.
call. It
But-
was December 22nd, 2005. I found myself at the Portland, Oregon airport, not remembering it. I had even taken months to relearn how to write. I couldn't do basic math. They had done a complete. Here is the problem. That's something that Duncan, Raymond, Max, and others are trying to work out. I'm trying to be quick. Normally, there's a shelf life
There's
with
place
this
that has
reprogramming
no
they do.
trees,
Usually
no
in the
stones,
50s or
nothing.
60s is when it
And
comes
in the
back.
middle,
The
that's
thing
just
that
a
nobody
little
can
touch.
figure out how so quickly. No, we've been trying to figure it out. The only suspicion is there's an outside benevolent reason that this causes for certain reasons that I'm
Okay,
not.
and you're how old?
31. I feel like I'm 100.
I know. So you had to have a trigger event that happened that made your life change such that
ship is on
you
fire.
ended up at this
Yes.
So do you want to address that? How did that happen?
Well, I'll give an explanation, but I really, at this time, I don't get it. I've been instructed not by bad people, but I've been instructed. Okay. Axe and I, we were at the facility. This was about maybe June or July of 2005. Normally, when a jump occurs, and a jump is, traveling through the portal of the Seagate, it's actually a pretty big operation. You have the operating area, which is kind of like main control, where you have the people that are running.
ship is on fire.
All the electronics, everything. You have another along the pool where the portal's at. There's 5 chairs on either side that have remote viewers. Some kind of anonymous transfer or something.
Problem solved, sir.
She'll add a lot to this. Then you have another person that sits at what's the coordination dome, the chair that's underneath that is a very strong, usually a bilocational remote viewer. Where this dome actually moves in a way to, it's almost like a compass, where a waypoint, a destination is calculated, that goes into the system somehow, and then you know, bam, where you're going to jump to. So it's a big process. A lot of people are involved. I was given
The enemy team has taken the lead.
of huge importance. Now, I say given a message, you could say the message was really overpowered me to where I did something that my entire life I had never done. I went against direct orders. I completely disregarded all directives and disobeyed everything that I'd ever stood for. And I went into almost an autopilot. I had convinced a couple of the operators, a couple of the key players. We kind of activated the Seagate through a skeleton crew. How I convinced them, I don't know. Somehow I did. I know that I was in good standings there and I was pretty high up as far as who I was. Maybe that had something to do with it. The location that was designated was a place that was pretty much off the grid, had been already years before, came down from those who lived in that area as this is off limits. You guys want to do whatever else you can, do not come here. If you come here, we're going to shut things down. So, some beings that have definitely a huge influence on what goes on in this galaxy. I went there, something transpired. I was given something. This is the reason why, since 2006, up until just a month ago,
Action
I
stations.
have around 103 separate instances of missing time. Some where I've come back with permanent marks, burn marks. Other ones where I've come back with other things that have occurred, where I've had some very reliable, absolute people confirm what took place. There's information that's in here that was placed in here that I have difficulty getting out because they
Who
want
is?
it.
You mean the government?
Yeah. It's what's the reason why I've moved so much and I've had such a complicated life, because I can never know when I'm going to be going somewhere and I'm going to wake up on a park bench or somewhere where they just drop me off, because they don't just drop me off home, they'll just drop me off wherever. When I returned from this jump, the government, the high-ranking officials had already found out.
Spotter
obviously. You can't do a jump there without them finding out. So I obviously knew, I knew what was going on. Axe, they had grabbed Axe and they had brought her in to the jump room. And I think they just got pretty messy, pretty ugly.
The ship is on fire!
I remember telling her, I didn't really understand what entirely happened, but I remember that something bad was going down.
Enemy battleship sighted.
What happened to her after that, I don't know, because I didn't reunite with her. It was
Must
just
suck really hard for the year for a train plane to come, and there's no space for you, so you have to.
I believe that everything happens.
Well, did you both
Spotter destroyed.
recognize each other at that time, or did just
Both did, right away. It was pretty emotional.
And Duncan also recognized you.
Right
is
away.
that right?
You suck game.
Okay,
So let me just say this, so we can wrap this portion up, because there's a lot of
Problem
details.
solved, sir.
Off camera. Again, obviously between June and December, I have this zero memory. I don't know what transpired between June and December 2005. But my first memory of this house. I've only been having constant memories besides missing time since December 27, 2005. They did what's called a full memory suppression. And how they do this, they have to psychotropic drugs, electroshock, and some other methods. There are parts of your brain that are not designed to hold memory. What they do is through this process is they shift all your memory from one side of the brain into the other. And then they can either leave that blank or they can put in false implant memories. They decided to leave mine blank. They didn't want me to know anything, not even my own name. This process has a shelf life that is done on purpose. The shelf life usually between the ages of 50 and 60s when these men and women.
The ship is on fire!
The shelf life in the water is breaking down quickly. Now, everybody in the projects, these kind of projects, have basically, you could say it's a self-termination program. Just last year, 3 people that were in that project that actually Duncan knew, and I knew one of them, they're no longer with us because they had that breakdown, they couldn't take it. They killed themselves. I'm getting to a point here with this. This is one of the reasons why I was supposed to my dad, because that was down with him now. So I tried to get
Enemy cruiser detected.
in 2006, and I don't remember the floodgates.
Problem solved, sir.
This is what's broke down. I believe that's from outside influence. I'd had enough, and my self-termination program didn't kick in. Where I was living at was a place where no one knows I was completely off the grid, and I went and I got a bottle of alcohol, and I had somehow gathered cops. I made my own cocktail, and I tested it. The next morning, I wake up at this hospital with an IV in me, not remembering. Here's what the doctor told me. Now, where I was living again, let me say this again real quick. I was at a house that was kind of like a clubhouse that was in this. It was a gift to me. It was like a clubhouse. I don't know how I got there. I just walked that through a chain of events. The doctor and the couple of nurses told me that I was carried into the hospital by a tall man.
The UAG has taken the lead.
A little close I had in bags in his car. He dropped me off. He told the people exactly what drugs were in my system at this cocktail. I didn't have pill bottles. I just gathered from here and there. And then they grabbed me and stuff when they turned around. Ship is on fire. He never gave his name. Nothing. There's no way anybody would know what I had in my system. The doctor told me I had enough narcotics in my system. And that was one of the many times I've had doctors say, I don't know how you're still alive. Some would say it's a guardian angel. Some could say maybe it was someone from the project who was watching over me, I'm concerned. I have another theory. That's a bit more out of this world. But
Now, I'm getting the impression that you're talking about
Problem solved, sir.
possibly the very tall beings, the Anunnaki.
I thought that first, but indeed that's not. Well, let's use Arcturian.
Okay.
I've only talked about this a couple times, and I don't really talk about it because even I am by nature a soldier who needs tangible things. Even though I've seen a lot of out of this world and been off planet, seen some stuff, for this to happen to me now, it's hard for me to sometimes even accept. But I get information that's kind of downloaded to me, and I've been getting a lot of recent answers since I started this detox. And so since I've been logging the game, all of it revolved around the Arcturians.
Okay.
It's still something certain people, but I wasn't even going to be talking about this right now because it's something that's difficult because it's I'm in the why me phase right now.
The enemy is
why
about to
did this
win.
have to happen to me? You know, you put in a lifetime of work that you don't even choose. I didn't ask for it. And then this
The enemy
happens,
is about
and then
to
that
win.
happens. Do I get aggravated? Yeah. Am I glad that my self-termination program was interfered with? Absolutely.
Well, actually, I have to say, you had to have chosen all of this as a soul before you came into the job.
I do get that.
The ship is on fire.
Just beginning to take up your mission on the light side, as I call it.
Just begun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think really the grassroots with it was first contacting you. And then getting a lot of support from Duncan, from Dave, from Jordan Maxwell, from Miriam Delicato, from Axe, and actually quite a few others. My network right now with whistleblowers is pretty big. I mean, Dr. Deagle, Jeff Harvey, Ral Val, who is another person you should definitely get in contact with. You know who she is.
Uh-huh.
Okay. But it really has just begun, and I've only yet to begin because there's so much more that I know that I'm here for into helping others.
Okay. What I want to do now is go back to the Ben Heather situation.
Oh, that was the other thing that we were going to talk about.
Yes.
Yes.
And then we're going to have to wrap this up.
We are, because we're already in tape 3.
Yeah.
I told you I had a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to explain anything about that first? Or you want me to just go right into it?
Okay, I did a radio show interview with Ben Murphy, who was part of the Heather material. He was the contactee who was in contact with Heather, who then basically disappeared, but she worked in a black project as a scientist and was part of basically Project Omega and some other projects. And then in the midst of the interview, something told me to ask Ben whether or not
I can't remember what year you actually did it to.
Also, and what happened was
I listened to that interview in detail, and yes, it definitely. I recognize my triggers very well.
General quarters.
When I listen to something, I don't sweat and I don't panic. So when I start shaking and I start getting cold sweats and I start getting violent flashbacks,
Good luck, everyone.
gut feeling tells me there's something substantial to this. So I emailed Ben and I explained to him what it was, and then I gave him just a very brief history, background, not of growing up.
When the
because he was
fuck did
already
the
aware of
first
some of
car
that, but
came
of
out?
my involvement with Project Seagate.
1890.
And the letter I got, which
Yeah,
I think would be good,
1880.
maybe, and I will make sure you get another copy of it. The letter he sent me was basically him dictating what Heather said.
Long way to fucking
And
go.
details of her involvement with working with dolphins on the Super Soldier program, which is under the Omega Project. In fact, there's no way she details that letter.
Steven. Various places all water bases in the Dolphins. Heather, I believe, I would say I'm 99% based on what she said to my instinct, that she was brown,
in
right?
some way a researcher, a scientist.
No, it's not a shifting.
I am going to, eventually when I get to the website about this, one of the projects, because we have a whole section devoted to Project Seagate. But I will definitely get you a copy of the letter so you can post that, and then I will turn the post on Facebook. I can't stand Facebook, but it's amazing what happens. But
Okay.
there is a possibility, because that is a closed network. Project Seagate there's now a chance that her and I may have crossed paths sometime.
And when you talked to Ben and he told you that information that Heather had given him, because my understanding is Heather and Ben are not in contact at this moment.
Right. I should say he dictated. It wasn't like she was staying over and saying it. He wrote down the best of what she had to say. As far as I know, they're not in contact. Sensitivity. I think that they're not in contact. Ben wouldn't say anything anyways, which is very smart because the information that's been released, even the information she released, that letter she sent to me, which I haven't made public, there's some sensitive stuff in there. And once people see the greater picture, when I start releasing everything from Project Seagate, my documents, my transcripts, absolute proof, that's going to be one thing to add to it. That's really going to be a huge door buster.
Okay. What
I don't
about
know
the
if it's
idea?
worth repaying
couple
my debts
things.
right now.
Never
Do
repay
you have
debts.
any memories of being
Never.
in undersea bases and or just
That's not
underground
what the
bases in
Lannister says.
Florida?
I was in Miami for a while.
Ah, come on, please say fuck that.
I've had two people that remain completely anonymous who reside in Florida.
Oh, that's gonna
who
be a
have made
fucking
claims
long train
that I was
track.
at an undersea base in
Oh, it's
Florida.
gonna cost a
I
shit
have
ton
another
of
guy
fucking money to
that's
build.
absolutely reliable. I'm not gonna say his name, but he was with the military for 20
Is
years.
it worth it though?
And him and I have discussed things in depth, and he was at Autech for quite some time. He was at Dawson Mountain.
Probably
And
not.
He has accounts that him and I talked about that would lead me that at some point I was at Bimini Island, which has an underground facility. But I do have clear memories absolutely being of underground facilities.
Engine boost activated.
In Oregon, Northern California, San Francisco Bay, and out in Arizona.
Okay. And what about? Do you know anything about Sarasota?
Sarasota, Florida. No, but I have a list that I have compiled. I'll have to dig it out and I can get to you, but it's basically a list of all the known, state by state, of all the known underground facilities. I don't know if Sarasota's on there, but it might be.
Okay. Well, I was given recent information of a Stargate there.
Was this without revealing names? Was this of a certain person that I tried to get in contact with?
No,
Okay, this is not that person.
not to my knowledge.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. I mean, you know, there was an interesting magnetic anomaly that occurred off of the Dominican Republic about a month ago that didn't make it on mainstream news. That was a Stargate-like opening that happened, and then also, and people can look at this. It's on. There have been radar images of specifically Australia, Norway, Russia, and other places with this unusual circular vortex thing. There's one in the United States now. Now, like of the Australia, it's this one. The one north, it's one. There's one in the United States now that has as a real image that there's 6 of them. And 2 of them are over Florida. These anomalies are popping up.
One of
All over them.
the key areas of the Heather research was her discussion about working to create beings that could go in and out of portals and not be destroyed in the process.
And that's
Engine
because
boost deactivated.
these omega beings, these Solus beings, are not the most stable beings. That's why. You know, they had, you can think of it as like they had a kind of a shelf life. This relates back to the Gulf of Aden. There's another sea facility there where there was this private research company. Articles, I have articles about it. And the French doctor, they claimed, where they were doing alien-human genetic experimentation, which they said was related directly to the Seagate. So there are multiple areas where they're doing this. I'm sure Heather was probably aware of that. So yeah, 4.5 to 5.7. I have the numbers at home of the entire DNA strand. It is the smallest, but in all reality, one of the most important.
Right, and you and I were talking about
Engine boost
basically
activated.
that a lot of autism is occurring right now around the globe, and
Being
that
manufactured.
this is being manufactured by
And the
Black Ops
pharmaceutical
programs.
companies have a huge hand in it.
And part of that is to create precogs because autistic children have, not only are they extra, telepathic, but they are also able to have powers
Nearly on
that
a
have
million
to
now.
do with seeing the future.
Nearly.
And that was something,
Nearly.
and that is an
Nearly.
ongoing program
Need 10K.
that the government
Only 10K.
is always using.
And like I said,
That's
some
not
of them are
Bob's profit.
actually not necessarily carry the soul of a human.
No.
A lot of these extraterrestrials, a lot of these autistic kids, it's Asperger's, and it is actually the soul, the energy, the life force of an extraterrestrial being, being Syrian actually. This is why autistic
A lot
children
of
work
transport
so
getting,
well with dolphins, because they are on the same
replaced.
level. They are totally in sync.
Ah, 1 million.
Yes. There also seems to be
Getting
surrounding autism that you and I talked about that has to do with what appears to be, the 13th chromosome taking humanity.
Go for that.
Actually, what happens is
going to the
growing into humanity is autistic children that raise vibration and change.
Maybe I should upgrade that and set it into
Sacrificed, whatever you want to call
Telephone.
it, created in order
I still don't understand why
This
I
is
have
why-
fucking put that
Just
away.
based on you, from you telling me that, the global elite, for
Who
a
the
long
fuck
time, the
uses
reason
a
why they
telephone
allow
like that
slaughters
anymore?
to happen,
Engine.
dolphins serve two separate but very significant purposes. One is, it's
Smoke
a
generator started.
maintaining the frequency of the powers. And the other one holds an energy balance.
My
Sounds
pocket
similar, but they're a little
transport
bit different.
not big enough. But I can strong enough. There's too many people on this thing. There's 40K. I have a feeling the one who's calling my mom is just sitting beside the telephone or taking it up and just smashing it to the since they're ringing again.
Yes, you could. You could. In fact, sometimes that actually occurs naturally.
That's the fun.
Where and that's where you get these autistic children that actually, and I say Syrian, but I'm talking more of the soul of a dolphin, which is really the soul of Syrian. This is something that, again, like it said, we could. It's a whole other topic. Right? We can go into history.
wrap this up
Okay.
because it has been going on
Ship founder.
hours. But so to basically tie this up in sort of a cohesive way, what is it that you want to say here? Because you're basically on a quest of some kind to discover who it
Brain
is
is
you
gonna
are,
go
at the
into
same
the,
time
directly into
to
the town or
reveal
just
what
beside.
the government, what the black projects have been doing, and what they're all about.
I can't really
Is there
decide.
anything that you can say in terms of the future of the planet?
Do what?
Going
Send it
forward
directly
to
into the town?
2012
I
and
think we should
beyond,
decide.
that the purpose behind
fuck
some of
yeah.
these programs might begin to reveal.
Fuck.
And if it's still something that you're, investigating, then by all means say that. But
Okay, it's a working process. Unfortunately, I do consider myself, like others said, that I'm so young because that just means I have so much more ahead to look into. I'm still on this mission to reveal the totality of who I am and why I became this way, why I was chosen, and why the outside influences, malevolent and benevolent, are at this. I'm really, right now, I'm in this tug of war. I get pulled from side to side. A few whistleblowers have said it really well, and I say it too. In order for us to really get things more exposed, more people that were part of these projects need to come forward. Men and women.
Oh, he stood on you.
Yes, the danger's out there, but
I think I have an idea
strength
for it.
is truly in numbers.
What's your idea?
I want people also to understand that a lot of the
Building one
information I
track
share
with
is,
two trains
I
on
guess,
it.
scary and a little out of this world, but it's not by any means
Instead
to
of
invoke
one
fear.
train with a shit ton of
Because
fucking
education
materials
and
on it,
knowledge is
which will
infectious.
probably not
Infectious
drive
in
that
a good
fucking
way.
fast.
Once that knowledge expands out, you never know. This
I think
interview
it's the
right
only
now,
way I can actually fucking
it
do
may
that.
not hit anybody, but if one person watches it and causes one little trigger
Action
and you
stations.
realize, oh my gosh, these things that are real, then I've in turn helped someone else, which in turn helps build the collective consciousness. So let me just say this real quick. And Alex Collier says this too, so I'm not the only one. To sit around in your chair and pray to God and say, God, please help civilization, we need help, that's not the way to do it. Until enough people on this planet show that they are wanting the truth exposed, that they're wanting enlightenment, that they're wanting to have this be the world that it was at one time, the collective consciousness needs to be built. Once that happens, yes, we have friends that are up in space that will come down and work with us. They're not going to help us. They're not going to come here and rescue us. It is up to us. So I will continue to research. I will continue to expose. I will continue to work on myself, which will in turn help expose more, and keep working with all the other whistleblowers that I've been connected with, and with Project Camelot, because that doesn't just benefit me, and it is healing. This is a healing process, but it also helps others, which is a healing process as well.
okay, and one last question, which is, why do you think that they've left you alone at this point?
Fighter airborne.
Well, they haven't completely left me alone, but it has been as harsh as it was the past couple of years. I can only speculate that perhaps they were told by outside influences. That's really the only thing that would make sense to me. That there is this
I just want so I can upgrade my fucking cars. My wagons. Pissing me off.
In fact, I did mention that there's two times I'm not
Space Force.
Underground base.
Hear about them Trump supporters
That
chanting Space
what
Force?
took place
Really?
there was so
Seriously?
dark
You know, Space
and
Force,
ugly
Space
and
Force.
horrifying to me.
I want to do
What do you
my
do? The knowledge
Let's hope Madam Barber's prediction is gonna go alright. You know it?
Wait, say again.
Mama Barber's predictions.
Oh, no.
Problem.
They said the president that is now unsaid what is it? Huh? Fucking turn that shit down. Might need to get that checked. I like how they fucking call everything so something short, like tools and machines, and then they have construction materials instead of just fucking calling it bricks.
Construction materials.
Why not fucking just call it bricks or concrete or just something that's not fucking stupidly long?
Construction materials.
I need more pilot. Oh, wait. One game.
General quarters.
Many thanks.
Oh!
What happened?
What I was hoping for. New cards. New cards. I can change my trucks now. Or wagons. Instead of only being able to only be able to drive 15 kilometers now, I can get it to 20. Yay!
Yay.
Capture that area.
Enemy battleship sighted.
Spotter airborne.
And they can now have more materials in them. Hey! Pretty good.
Hey, it's pretty good.
Enemy cruiser detected.
It is some kind of steam.
Steam car.
Spotter returning
Yeah.
to ship.
Enemy battleship sighted.
The ship is on fire!
Enemy cruiser.
Just useless.
Problem solved, sir.
Enemy destroyer sighted.
The ship is on fire.
The town is spreading. It's ass cheeks for me.
General quarters.
Let's give them a hard time.
Merci, commandant.
Many thanks. Bonne chance à tous. All stations, proceed to capture that area. Support the Allied target.
À tous les bâtiments, commencez la capture de la zone.
Roger.
That cost me 400,000.
Good luck, everyone.
Set a smoke screen.
I have a brilliant idea.
I need intelligence data.
Ich brauche Aufklärung.
I need support.
What's the idea?
It's because I need. I have a
À tous les
forest
bâtiments. Demande
close
d'appui
to
feu.
a sword run, but in the same way I have some oil I need to run in the same area, the same outcome productions. The thing is, it can't really run symmetric because it's twice as long. But I also think I can actually see I can also use some of grain tracing and have a huge amount of grain just enclosed to that could compensate for that.
Not yet.
Requesting support. À tous les bâtiments. Concentrez le tir sur la cible.
Concentrate fire on the designated target.
Concentrez le tir sur le navire ennemi. C'est qui les meilleurs? Requesting assistance.
Much obliged. Nice work.
Concentrez le tir sur le navire ennemi.
The ship is on fire! Problem solved, sir.
I thought I said you need to wait unlimited time, and you are not waiting. Ah, vehicle 69.
Uh-oh.
Action stations.
Bonne chance et bon vent. battleship detected. Enemy battleship sighted.
Hvad bliver der til?
Whoa.
In a second. Så.
Союзники, сфокусировать огонь на цели.
Enemy cruiser sighted.
Our team has taken the lead.
Enemy battleship detected. battleship detected. Enemy cruiser sighted.
Enemy cruiser destroyed.
Our victory is in sight. Our victory is in sight.
Enemy destroyer detected. Enemy cruiser sighted.
Our victory is in sight.
black.
Hello. You know what?
What?
Ah, for fuck's sake. Damn it.
What?
I have to run downstairs again. I forgot to fucking get the food with me. Fuck's sake.
Show them what we've
Playing
got,
with the
chaps.
I fucking forgot. Great, good. Whatever.
Alle Stationen, vorrücken zum Erobern dieses Bereichs. Bien reçu.
Ah, for fuck's sake. I'm for Ah! That's the wrong fucking thing.
Kamerad, ich brauche Ihre Unterstützung. Kamerad, ich brauche Ihre Unterstützung.
Fuck me, right?
I don't want to because you're a man.
Ah. And that stops you? Rather surprised.
Enemy cruiser detected. Enemy cruiser detected. Enemy battleship sighted.
С меня причитается.
Fucking fly.
Uh-oh, flies.
Just fucking killed himself. Fucking annoying beasts.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Well, they're not beasts, they're just...
Enemy battleship sighted.
fucking beasts.
Fire!
I ran out of money from the train tracks.
Yeah. All of them.
Again? I haven't used them before.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
Enemy cruiser.
Problem solved, sir.
Brilliant! You know why? Because I don't have the train ready yet.
Try.
Suck my cock. Wait, what?
Try.
Enemy battleship detected. Enemy cruiser sighted.
Our team has taken the lead.
Shoot, motherfucker.
What?
Some of the trains is finished. I can actually start moving trees again.
We destroyed an enemy battleship. Team has taken the lead.
Now I just need the other part.
Fire!
Torpedoes direct front.
Torpedoes dead ahead.
Enemy destroyer sighted.
An alle, Rückzug! An alle, Rückzug!
Fire.
Enemy cruiser detected.
Our team has taken the lead.
Torpedoes dead ahead. Torpedoes to starboard.
Aircraft carrier detected.
Problem solved, sir.
Victory is Enemy destroyer blown up. Victory is in sight.
Хорошо сработали.
Enemy battleship sighted.
Victory is in sight.
Oh, come on, move fucking camera. Get fucked, nigga. I need a big one. Give me a buck. No, I just need a train. Fucking hell. I might actually want to buy a airport. I should go a little faster. Get it rather slow. Necessary, or do I need just a small one? Ah, let's pick this. Pick that one. Let's. That. I could actually just have a small one. That's too late now.
Too late.
To apologize. Is 6 enough? 7, 8. 8 is enough. That line? No line. From the farm to the plastic factory.
Plastic factory.
Yeah.
Let's get to it.
Good luck and fair seas. Alle Stationen, Feuer auf das Ziel konzentrieren.
Enemy battleship detected. Enemy destroyer sighted. Enemy battleship sighted.
Much obliged.
Enemy cruiser sighted.
Many thanks.
Hey.
What?
And they fire. Straight.
Concentrate fire on the designated target. Problem solved, sir. Torpedoes direct front. Torpedoes direct front.
Rather impressive. There's like 50 fucking people waiting for the train. Yeah. That's fucking under 300 people in the town. How is that even fucking possible? There's 1/3 of the fucking population in town that's trying to fucking get a train.
Penetration.
Enemy battleship detected. Enemy cruiser detected.
The enemy team has taken the lead.
Enemy battleship detected.
Torpedoes to starboard.
Ah, for fuck's sake.
We've sprung a leak. We're filling up fast.
have the money for it anymore. Okay. I think I got my solution for the train problem.
Alright, what's it?
Guys, got a Prussian G3 train now. It's twice as good as the other one I had. So I can have twice as many people with me.
Hmm.